Streamer U happened over the past couple of days, and not everyone has time to watch all of that content. I go in and watched it so you don't have to, but before we get into that, make sure you drop a like, comment, subscribe, as well as follow me over on Twitch where you can catch discussions like this, as well as all of my gaming content live. Now then, let's get on with the show! So, alright, let's do this. Let's go ahead. Let's do this. Alright. So, and let's switch this over here so people who are in the vertical format can actually see stuff. Alright. Twitch networks, I mean, you're not wrong. So, alright. We got quite a few things here that I have set up, right? I've made a whole freaking list of things.
Idea, nose boop redeem.
A nose boop redeem? You know, you're not the first person to suggest that. I'm just lazy and don't feel like setting it up, okay? I don't feel like setting it up. Is that a bad thing? Is that a bad thing? Twitch working is a funny joke. I know, right? Just like your mom giving birth to you was a funny joke. I regret nothing. Too much? Too much? If that was too much, I'm sorry. I do not mean to be too much with that one. The only thing working in Twitch is the interns and the clankers. I mean, you're not wrong. That's your best aunt. No. No, it's not my best. I'm just trying to not be, you know, too mean, because I know people can be sensitive, right? Okay. Okay, yeah, there's a lot on here, right? There is a lot. We're gonna, you know, just start off here, right? You're seeing all of the notes. There's a lot of them, right? But we're gonna start off here. Also, Farmer Hippopotamus, thank you so much for becoming a lovely little gem, my raccoontuler. Hope you're okay with me taking your pizza because it's mine now, alright? No. Anyways, though, right? So, let's get started on this, okay? And if you guys have questions, make sure, you know, I'll make sure to ask if you guys have any questions. I'll make sure, you know, like, if you have questions on the way, I'll try my best to answer them, alright? So, favorite pizza order? Meat lovers, hands down. Stuffed crust if I have the extra muns for it. Moving on. So, here's the thing. With Streamer U, there was a lot of things I was seeing, and yesterday I mentioned how a lot of it felt like, you know, common sense, right? And I really, how did you know I just bought meat lovers? I don't know. I'm psychic. So, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. There was a lot of things that I wanted to note down on Streamer University, right? Because yesterday when I talked about it, there was a lot that I thought was like common sense, but people take for granted, and maybe I even took it for granted. But a lot of people, it's not, right? And one of the first things that I wanted to actually talk about was the thing that Ludwig talked about, which was his 4 Ps, the premise, problem, plug, and payoff, and even give some you know, examples.
Guys, there's the thing, right?
Oh my gosh, god damn it. So, if you ever watch any popular content creator, any VTuber, any IRL streamer, any, you know, long-form videos on YouTube, right? You'll probably notice that they usually have about a minute before you get into the meat and potatoes, the freaking deep into that deep dish pizza of what the video's about, right? Which is kind of crazy. Because if you look at it, usually it starts off with the premise. You set up a problem or something that needs to be addressed in the video. You possibly plug, like, you know, where you can be caught, like whether you're a live streamer, whether it's some other type of content, sponsorship, whatever. And then the fourth part of that intro is meant to be the payoff, right? But it doesn't only work for YouTube intros. It works as a thing for live streamers as well, with raids, with the way they come onto a stream, especially if they have something planned, right? So, for example, right, like, let's say, you know, like, right up there, how I have it stated is, I watch Streamer U so you didn't have to, right? And so, if the premise is watching the Streamer University streams so that someone doesn't have to, you just already given a good premise. And then if the problem is not everyone has time to watch it, so you're going to solve it by giving a summary of everything that's going on. Then, for example, if we were to try and do this, right, it would be like, So let's give an example real quick of this, and I'm just gonna completely improv this. No scripting. I've not scripted this at all, so it's not gonna be the best, right? So let's say, I'm like, yo, what's up, my little gems? I watch Streamer University, so you didn't have to, because not everyone has hours to take out of their day. So let me give you a summary. And if you want to catch the full thing, you can watch me over on twitch.tv rixara VT, so you can watch me live 3 to 4 days a week. Else, stay tuned because we're going to be getting into it right now. So let's get started. And then it cuts right there into the actual video where we're basically starting to talk about all of this, right? Because effectively, drop the premise, you drop the problem that you want to solve. I plugged my freaking channels and stuff, right? And then I give the payoff right at the very end. There's already a streamer category on Twitch. Yes, there is. Yes, I know, Veld. I know. I'll be quiet a moment because I'm playing some Fortnite. Hey, you know what? That's fine. That's absolutely fine, right? So, right? Basically, the idea with it is when you give people a hook, whether they're coming into a stream, whether they're coming into a video on YouTube, whether it's a short, long-form video, whatever, right? Biggest thing is you gotta capture their attention, right? You have to capture their attention. Can you get a right counter? I say right too much. I'm pretty sure that would be in the thousands if we did that. So, typically speaking, when someone comes into your stream, into your long-form video, right? Typically speaking, they're gonna only be there for maybe 15 seconds on a good day, right? They're gonna be there maybe a minute at most, right? Okay. I'll say, hey there, evil Carlos. So, in that very small window, you have to give something explosive. You've got to give something that's going to catch their attention, make them want to stay, right? It works for just about anything, right? So, like, if you were to sit there, like, I'll give another example. Whenever someone raids into the dumpster dome, whenever someone raids into any stream for that matter, right? You don't just sit there and ignore the raid. I mean, some people do, but if you want to leave a lasting impression, convert people into new followers, what you're gonna do is you're gonna be like, yo, welcome into the dumpster dome. My name's Rixara, or Rixarada, and right now we're sitting here playing freaking Lords of the Fallen, so if you like chaos, having a good time, and absolutely love pizza, you've come to the right place, so drop a follow so you can stay up to date and be a part of the chaos. So let's get back into it, because what were you up to, right? So, right there, right? Right there, for a raid message, right? You drop a premise, right? The premise is someone just raided in. So, what's the problem? You need to introduce yourself. So you're going to solve that by introducing yourself, plugging what you're doing at the moment, plug what it is that you want to do, give them a reason to subscribe, and give them a payoff of why they should stay, right? That is the important thing. Because if you can convert someone into a follower, if you can convert someone into someone that wants to stick around, they will. Now, granted, not everyone's going to do that. Everyone's got their Oshis, their streamers they are already sticking with. So it's not always going to be the biggest sale, but it's the important thing is that you're doing that. Because by leaving a lasting memory in someone's mind, in someone's head, right? You are going to actually make it more likely for them to want to stick around. Which is why, shorts can be like a foot in the door for people. Because shorts can kind of basically get all 4 of these points every time you upload one. But biggest problem with it is if someone comes from your shorts, they're probably expecting you to be, a certain way. If they don't get the payoff from what that short was of that bit, do you think, chat, that they are going to sit there and come back? Do you think that those people that watched your short, if they do not get the payoff that they were expecting from your short, when they come to watch your stream or your long form video, do you really think they're going to keep watching? Do you think they're going to stick around for the most part? What do you think? This is the part where you actually say something. Just saying. Hi, Trisket. This is why clips exist, something short viewers to see and possibly be interested in, while keeping the long videos for those that want to see what happened in long run. That's part of it, right? That's part of it. But that's why I'm asking you, chat. Right? 2 of 10 would stay for the model, maybe? Some of them might stay for the model. Right? Some might stay for the model. Some might stay and wait a little bit longer to see those bits, right? But most people, unless they get those bits, they're not going to stick around. There's a reason why with shorts, converting from shorts into long-form content, like live streams, like long-form videos, or anything else, is a poor conversion, because for them, they're getting that instant dopamine. They're getting that instant, they get this now, they want to see this constantly. And if the payoff isn't there within like 5 minutes, it's sayonara, bish. It is sayonara, they don't give a shiz, goodbye, right? That's what makes it so hard as a content creator to, use shorts, personality and or content scratching a form of the tism and a key. Exactly, that's part of it. But, like, let's be real here, right? Also, welcome in, Riziel. Like, let's be real here. If I'm sitting here and you get some random thing about me going off about how I'm going to eat your left toe because of, like, you stole my cheesy pizza, right? But then, and that's like let's say that's a short, right? But then you come into my stream, I'm in the middle of playing, freaking Lords of the Fallen in the middle of a boss, being dead quiet. Are you going to want to stick around? Are you getting what you expected from the short? If I'm being dead quiet, if I'm locked the fuck in? No. No, you're not. Because you're coming for a specific personality, for a specific bit, right? And it is so hard to stay on top of that when no one, right? When you're not meeting the audience expectation, right? Which is why even when you set up your intro, it is a reflection of what you want to be, what you want to put out there. The content you do is what you want to put out there, right? So if you are setting the expectation, you have to ask yourself, what kind of expectation are you wanting to put out there? What do you want your audience to expect from you when you first hit that going live button? When you do that video, when you share that short form content? Now this is where I can go and share a little bit of of a shortcoming of myself. When I was as breaking the kayfabe here for a moment, right? As Yoru Vexa, right? I fucked myself over because I thought, I should do what my community wants. I felt like if the only way to grow, to be successful, was to be completely lewd, to be completely NSFW, even with, like, every single thing I did, I burned myself out. That's not, like, there's more to me than just that. And so, I incorrectly set the expectations. So, when someone's coming from, like, a short TikTok, a Twitter post, and they weren't getting me being absolutely lewd and unhinged all the time, it was bad. It was boring. People weren't incentivized to stick around. Why would they when that's not what they're getting, right? I'm thus far more talking to myself late on stream with each reactions of gameplay, yet I try to pretend like I have 50 plus people watching and try to be an entertaining as possible. I mean, yeah, like that's the thing, right? It's like, yes, being entertaining as possible is definitely a thing, right? But this whole thing with the premise, problem, plug, payoff thing has nothing to do with trying to talk to people, whether you have 50 people, you have 2 people, right? I mean, that just goes for entertainment clips in general. It does, but the thing is how you are online you have to think about the expectations you expect someone to see from you. And your intros, your raid messages, your long form content, your streams all have to, need to have a consistency to it or give a reason for someone to actually want to stick around, right? That's what makes it so crazy, what makes it so hard as a content creator, because it's so easy to get yourself lost, right? It is so easy to get yourself lost in the weeds, in the freaking, in the freaking rabbit holes that you can go down with how, your audience says they want one thing. You want another thing. Other streamers say you should have a different thing, right? Like, it could get so easy, right? If you clip of a TV show where it's just the action from Breaking Bad or something, you're not going to be expecting the very slow pacing. Yeah!
She's lost in the sauce chat.
I am not lost in the sauce, you motherfucker. But seriously though, right? Like, that's the thing. If you watch Breaking Bad, the clips you see on TikTok, on YouTube, on freaking Instagram, right? They're all the best parts of Breaking Bad. If you were to go and actually watch Breaking Bad, there's a lot of slow moments. If you went in literally expecting Breaking Bad to be like this high, like just high action, fast paced shiz, I'm gonna be real with you. No, it's not. And you're gonna be disappointed. A lot of people will not even give it a chance because of how bleh it is, right? Most of the clips are coming from the final season. Yeah, a lot of them do come from the final season because there was so much established at that point. No one wants to take shit from freaking, season 1. I mean, hell, if you watch freaking, what is it? Like, if you were to go and watch Supernatural, you'll see stuff from the later seasons. If you try to watch, like, season 1, let me tell you, that stuff is cringe compared to stuff you see in, like, season 5, or even season, like, I think, what was it, 14 or something, right? It's crazy, okay? It's absolutely freaking crazy. But, that's the important part of it all. So does everyone understand this part right here? Right? You binge watch them from start to end with Wild Ride. It is absolutely a wild ride, right? I'll say, hang on. You get it? It makes sense. Does anyone have any questions about why this is such an important premise right here for content creation? Because I know not everyone here in this chat is looking to be a content creator. I know not everyone in chat is a content creator. But for those that are, or those that are curious about learning how content creation works, I think this is actually really, really good stuff to know, right? So, does anyone have any questions? Yes, we're pizza for lunch. Aegis, can we please stay on topic? Can we actually please stay on topic? Because whatever the fuck you're talking about, I don't even know what that makes sense, right? Yeah, you're good? Okay. Yes, how did you get to be... That's not on topic, but I don't know. You're the one that thinks I'm cute, so, No, Professor. I'm glad I'm here because I recently started doing content creation. Fair. You didn't say any questions? You know what? Fair. You caught me on that one. Fair enough. I'm hungry and I want pizza. Okay, then go get yourself some pizza, bish. What do I look like? Chopped liver? Anyways, right? So let's move on, right? Let's move on to this next part that I think is also just as important, right? And from what I was seeing from Ludwig, I wanted to expand on it because it's like, it's this whole idea of the trust me problem, why you shouldn't trust all advice, right? Do you know why trusting someone's advice is not always the best thing to do, right? Because, like, let's be real here, right? I'm giving Ludwig, it's not Ludwig, I should say Ludwig, Ludwig, there you go. One of, like, he's, like, one of the top 100 streamers out there in the entire world, right? So, here's the thing. I'm giving a lot of advice right now, but here's the thing. You have to ask yourself, but, like, why shouldn't you trust all of the advice, right? For Ludwig, when he was telling his story, he met up with Mr. Beast, and Mr. Beast told him just to put out banger videos. But what's interesting, right? What's interesting is, he tried putting out banger videos, but it wasn't for him. He didn't like it. It messed with his whole flow. It wasn't the way he wanted to do content. So he said, fuck that. And because that's the thing, is like you hear the advice all the time, right? Just have fun. Do what makes you happy and you'll grow, right? Just do what every other VTuber is doing. Do what every other content creator is doing, right? Short form content is the way to go. Just keep doing shorts. Only stream like once a week for like 3 hours and make it all into a clip farm stuff. Like, you hear all of this advice, right? But that works for some people. It doesn't work for everyone, right? Yeah, everyone has different takes. Something that works for them may or may not work for you. Exactly. It's almost like if you don't stay in your lane, you'll crash into someone who's supposed to be in lane. Yeah, exactly. Right? Like, sure, I could have been, some VTuber, trying to be an idol, trying to do what everyone else does, right? But honestly, I tried that. It wasn't for me. It was not fun, right? Also, hey, Tiger, how you doing? Yay! Also, yeah, not all advice is sound. Just do what you can. What makes you happy? Exactly, right? In the matter of work, fun is good to get you out of bed, but business is business. Fun is not enough. More important is having your free time to regenerate from bullshit. Exactly, right? And that's the thing, right? Because you can be given all of the tools in the world, right? Like, sure, I can tell you right now, like, this right up here, the YouTube intro stuff that we just talked about, right? That is useful information that's good for general advice, right? Like, it is. That's useful stuff that you should just incorporate in general. How you incorporate it is how you want to incorporate it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how you should incorporate it. I can give examples, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, you have to do it like this, exactly like this. You have to have the creativity. You have to have the freedom to do it in your own way that, make it your own. Take something like this little tip here and make it your freaking own. Make it something that is a representation of who you are, of what you want to be, right? That's what's most important. Because if you just I'll say, hey there, Gear, how you doing, my lovely little gem? Because, like, if you just sit there, right? Like, let's say you take the advice from a VTuber saying that you should niche down and only do Souls games. Or you should niche down and do nothing but Yu-Gi-Oh! Videos, right? Or you should be a news VTuber or something, right? I want to be a millionaire, how could that help? Exactly, right? Like, if you just listen to that, but you're someone that prefers playing more cozy games, like if someone says you need to play Souls games in order to be successful and grow in 2026, but you don't like Souls games, do you really think that's gonna work? Do you actually think that that's going to actually work for anyone, Chad? Do you? I'll say, hey, Jax, how you doing? Huh? No, exactly. It does not work. But some people will sit there and give advice. Heck, one of the most common pieces of advice I have seen to other creators is a lot of people like to say, get into ASMR, right? Get into ASMR. It'll make you popular really, really fast. They're not entirely wrong, but if you're not into ASMR, if you don't get it, if you don't like doing it, then you're not going to enjoy the content you make. You're going to burn out, and like 6 months later, no one's going to even know who you are, and you get out of the game before you even had fun, right? Not all advice is good advice. It's good for some people, but don't let it be the thing that tells you how you should or should not do stuff. It's genuinely disappointing to see so many people that had so much potential go poof because they listened to advice that wasn't catered to them and how they are, right? Until you were like crazy good at playing blind or plugging a microwave as a controller. Yeah, basically, right? Because the thing is, right? You're also building the wrong community. You want to build the community that likes what you like and who like you for you and not a character. Exactly, right? Exactly. And so that actually, right? I know that the Cynthia Sanguine did a ton of ASMR while under contract. Now that she's a free VTuber, she's expanding in a game. Well, exactly, right? Because there are people out there that do ASMR. They get like 300 viewers. They try to play games. They're down to 30 viewers. Why? Because people are there for ASMR, not they're not there for the gaming, right? Or heck, you know, sometimes when you force something that you are not into personally, you build a community that, like, you know, like freaking Jack said, right? Because, like, for example, you know, let's say people tell you to play Warframe. Okay, cool. You just built a community for Warframe, but you're not into Warframe at all. What the frick are you gonna do with that? The frick are you gonna do with that, huh? Go into a community night, everyone wants to play Warframe, and you're the one person wanting to play Mecha Chameleon? That's not gonna work out! That's not gonna work out at all! Because here's the problem, right? You want people to be there for you and all what you're doing. Exactly. Because if you build a community based off of something you're not really into, what ends up happening is you have to work twice as hard to build a new community, to transition away from that into what you actually want, right? So if someone gives you advice to you know, do something that you're not really into, you're only going to set yourself up for failure. So make sure you're experimenting. Make sure you understand what you're doing. Now, that's not to say that it's not a bad idea to, you know, experiment, right? Because here's the thing, right? It's okay to experiment. It's okay to fuck up, to fail. So, like, you know, don't be afraid of trying something. You know, hey, if someone suggests ASMR, okay, maybe give it a shot. See if you like it, if you have the equipment and the time for it. If you don't, you don't. No big deal. If you, like, you know, I could sit here and do a stream of freaking Civilization 6, right? I may not like it. I might like it. It could become a new thing. It could be something that's a one-off because, you know, I tried it. It didn't work out. Cool. Moving on, right? Because part of content creation is not just about having fun. It's also about self-discovery. It's about figuring out yourself, what you're into, what you're not, and sometimes you gotta take risks, right? I'll say, hey, Salt, how you doing? Whether streaming for you is a job or a hobby, you want it to be fun. By having the wrong community, you'll be miserable. Exactly, right? Exactly. And that's honestly, right? That's honestly part of why I want to change up how I personally do my community nights, right? As an example. Because for me, I'm sitting here trying to figure out community nights, right? And it's like, okay, we have some people that are into Yu-Gi-Oh!, but not everyone wants to download the free simulator that lets them build whatever deck they want. Okay. Not everyone's on PC. Okay, so we can't really play any PC games. Not everyone has money for a $5, $10 game. Okay, so that limits us to a couple of games. I'm not into Warframe or, you know, a lot of, like, you know, the free-to-play games, so... Or, I straight up can't. Like, I'm not going to be playing Fortnite in a community night. I can't. I literally cannot because I'm on Linux, right? So, whether it's hardware limitations, whether it's, like, the interests of people, what I want to do then instead is I want to pivot to something I know everyone can have fun with. Something that everyone can enjoy. And so, what is that? For me, it's why not turn community nights from trying to figure out games into... Let's watch anime. Let's watch a movie. Let's do something that everyone can participate in and actually be interested in, rather than trying to do something that only some people are into, right? Which is why it's important, because that's the thing, right? If the community is there for you, and it's because of what you're interested in, it'll go a lot better than listening to someone's advice of doing something you're not into, right? And also, you need to remember that you can't make everyone happy. By making everyone happy, you make no one happy. Exactly. Exactly, right? So with this part right here, any questions so far, chat? Anyone have any questions? Whether you're on Twitch, whether you're on TikTok, whether you're on Twitter. Not that I think anyone's actually watching on Twitter, but, you know, or if you're on the green and black website, you know, where do babies come from? Well, if you bend over, I can go ahead and shove a tree trunk up your bum, and then in 9 months, you might have some babies. Might not be the kind you want, because it might be, you know, some rotted logs, but hey, at least you got a baby, and that's how babies are made. Try new things, but if it doesn't stick, move on. Exactly. Exactly. Try new things, but if it doesn't work, move on. It's a lot of it's self-discovery and figuring out what kind of content you want to do, right? I know you were being a bit of an ass, but hey, at least you asked a question, so I'll take it. I will take it. Does anyone else have any questions before we move on, chat? Any questions? Now is the time. And I should, you know, reiterate on this, right? Start your own university. Pause space, please. Wait, what? What do you mean start my own university? I may have been a content creator for 5 years, but I don't think I should be like starting a university on myself, right? But yes, any questions in relation to what we're talking about and not anything about tree trunks or anything off topic? Because I swear to God, the next off topic question, I'm going to sit there and take your pizza. When do we get the pizza for listening to the raccoon talk? At the end of the stream. Can you help me with the Panthless boss fight? No, that's not even on topic, bro! Brother! Anyways, okay, if there's no questions, I'm gonna give it like 10 seconds, and then I'm gonna move on to the next part, right? Of my notes. So, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, we're moving on. Oh, question? What's up, Sainted? What's your question? Am I cute? That's not... A lot of people think I'm cute. I don't know if I'd call myself cute, but a lot of people think so, so I guess, maybe? I don't know. Anyways, so let's move on to this next thing, right? This next one. Having goats or inspirations, why is that important? Does anyone here in chat have any good idea of why having an inspiration, having a goat, or I guess for VTubers, having an Oshi is important to being a content creator? Anyone at all? Pushes you to be better and motivated? Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. You have one? What's up, Jax? What's your idea? A goat, an inspiration, just like what? Why do you think having an inspiration for being a content creator is important? Does this button still work? Wait, what button? God damn it, Silver. Like, I'm asking, like, look, okay, so if no one else, it gives you a good template on how to become the best streamer you can, but it's important to also choose the right Oshi while finding inspiration. Still have some of your own original style. Yeah. Yes, exactly, right? So, like, that's kind of the thing. Is having an inspiration really gives you an idea of, it's like, think of, like, having an inspiration as the building blocks, the foundation of what you want, the kind of community that you want, the kind of content that you want to make. It doesn't mean copy the content that they make, like note for note, but it gives you an idea, right? Like for me, one of my inspirations, one of my goats is Markiplier. Why? Because he's kind, he's funny, he's got charisma. He takes the time to sit down and explain things to his community. He takes time to sit down and have fun, you know? It isn't just like, you know, always being stupid, you know? It's not always being like silly. He has his down to earth moments. He has his good moments. He has his real moments. He's not afraid to answer questions, you know? He actually is. It's just the quality, it's the integrity, everything, right? Well, yeah, because I am saying goats, Aegis. That's what I'm saying. I'll say, hey, Argon, how you doing, my lovely little gem? But regardless, right? Having that inspiration is so important. Now, those inspirations can change over time, right? I do have an inspiration for... I even have a lore I'd like to share, not just for my community, but for the VTubing community to be involved, hopefully for the future, showcasing and sharing the next chapter. And oh, and that's me! I'll say, yo, Alexandra, how you doing? My lovely little raconteur. Like, seriously, that's the thing, right? Is, like, having that helps, right? Some people, a lot of people look up to Shy Lily as like, you know, one of their inspirations, right? Because she is one of the biggest VTubers out there. A lot of people look up to Iron Mouse. A lot of people look up to Buff Pup, right? There's so many people that look up to people, and here's the thing, right? Even if you don't agree with them, even if you don't think, like, you know, they're a great inspiration, whatever, right? The important thing is that if they're an inspiration to that person in particular, that's all that matters. Who inspires you should not be influenced by others. It should be the kind of goals that you strive towards. The things that you want to do, right? A lot of people sell their soul to Iron Mouse. I mean, bro, a lot of people aren't actually selling their soul to Iron Mouse, okay? I don't even know what's up with that joke, okay? I know of a VTuber who, for her birthday this week, got art of her VTuber model being choked by Buff Pup. Yeah, some people that... I mean, honestly, I don't even know, like, I guess that would be considered a type of, you know, gift, because, you know, you're getting to put yourself, it's do a self-insert for fan fiction, I guess, but, you know, like, that's the thing, right? The idea is that you're sitting there having an inspiration that you use as the foundation for the community you want to build. Because, again, it goes back to that whole thing. If you decide to take advice from someone and build the incorrect kind of community, the wrong community for what you want, if you try to do things in a way that isn't the best for you, and everything, and it goes against your inspirations and everything, you're just setting yourself up for failure. And so many content creators do that, you know? Not even just VTubers, IRL creators, too. They both do that. Like... You'd be surprised for, like, the 6.4 million streamers that exist in the world, right? It's crazy to think of just how many people actually get out of this industry because they listen to advice too closely, or they try to mimic something that they're not. You're not following closely Iron Mouse, besides the whole charity thing going on with her friends bicycling through Japan once a year, but, well... She's still working with her shit. Illness is crazy. Yeah. Yeah, that's, like, honestly, you know, that is an inspiration. The fact that even with having, like, you know, an illness like Iron Mouse has, the fact that she pushes through it all and still tries to make content, you know, she still does things. That is impressive in of itself. You know, that is an inspiration, because it shows that even when life gives you the worst cards possible, you can still do something with it. You don't have to let life shove you down and push you down and not let you accomplish your goals. Because, if anything, it can be a great motivator to push you further forward. You know? I was terrified of rebranding. I was terrified of all the changes I've done. But honestly, if I didn't do those changes, I'd be stuck doing something I'm not really enjoying and burning myself out, and then, you know, I wouldn't be here today. I'd probably be, you know, stuck doing something else, you know? It's crazy. It is genuinely crazy just to think about, you know? So that's why, you know, it's so important to have, you know, your inspirations. It really is a massive driving force with content creation. And, you know, if it wasn't Markiplier that inspired me, you know, honestly, one of the VTubers that actually did inspire me was Girl DM. There was a reason when I started out, like 5 years ago, I literally had this whole mentality of, like, you know what? I'm gonna be bigger than Girl DM by the end of the year. Obviously, that didn't happen and all that, but, you know, hey, that's how much of an inspiration she was to me. You know, it was fun. It was the fact that she wasn't being lewd. It was the fact that she was having fun. She was being quirky, just being a little gremlin, and it was a lot of good times. You know, it's great. You know. Anyways, let's move on to the next thing, right? Because this next part I actually think is really, really interesting, and it kind of dives into psychology a little bit, right? And a lot of people, even VTubers, fall into this trap, right? So, you've all seen VTuber drama, right? Like, can we get a raise of hands in chat real quick? How many of you guys have seen the amount of drama that happens in VTubing? Like, almost every other day, or at least once a month, there's like some major drama, right? Raise of hands real quick. I'll raise my hands. Almost everyone here should probably be raising their hands, right? Right? Oh god, yeah. Oh yeah, I don't even know what the most recent VTuber drama is, to be honest, because I've been clearing my timeline from it, you know? So, literally sent you a bit about the people starting shit over Discord volume. Oh yeah, I did see that. That's stupid. Moving on, right? So here's the thing, right? More people know you than like you, right? As a content creator, you know? Like, let me do a good point here. I have 9,063 followers here on Twitch. On Twitter, I have like 24,763 followers over there, right? So here's the thing. That's a lot of people that know me, but that doesn't necessarily mean they all like me or even interact with me, right? Like, in real life, more people tend to like you than know you. And Ludwig made a really good point. Like, your family typically your family likes you. Not everyone's family likes you, right? That's not always the case, right? But your friends like you. Some relatives like you. Your partner, if you're in a relationship, likes you, right? Like, so many people in real life will know you and like you more because it's so much more condensed. You have to go out of your way to interact with people. But online, you're just one person that can, scale out to tens of thousands of people that know of you, but they don't like you necessarily. And that's just normal because of just how volatile being on the internet is, right? And that's where we go into the whole thing about the VTuber drama stuff, just in general. Even IRL have drama, but, just because I'm a VTuber, it's a really good example, right? The internet has no mercy. It has zero, none, nada, zilch, right? Not only that, right? The other thing in question, okay? Not only that, sorry about that, was responding to a message from a mod. So, not only that, right? But friendships, whether you're an IRL content creator or you're a VTuber, right, will always be tainted by third parties, right? Whether it's your own audience, whether it's your own, whether it's, other content creators, whether it's VTubers, right? That's how a lot of drama actually starts. Some people will even hate farm for engagement to help them grow, right? Which is absolutely freaking crazy, right? But it happens. It absolutely freaking happens. And it's a shame that it does happen. But the entire reason why this is so important to content creation is that it is hard to not react, to not interact with it, right? Because I'm sure a lot of you there have dealt with this in the past, or have seen VTubers, content creators in general, interact with drama that honestly, you probably looked at them and you're like, why? Why are you interacting with this? Why are you giving it attention? Like, how many of you here in chat, I'll say, hey, Junior, how you doing? How many of you in chat have all been like that at some point? With someone, whether, you know, it's, you know, some other streamer, whether it's me being stupid with some things, and you're like, why the fuck is she interacting with that, bro? Why is she talking about that? Why isn't she moving on, right? Like, seriously, how many of you have actually seen a streamer get into some shit that has made you ask why? What the frick? Raise your hands, anyone? Raise your hands. What else I find sad is the fact that there are specific hate groups that hate you for merely existing online or streaming, and if you remain online, the stealing attention number from their own Oshi or themselves. Yeah. Yeah, basically, right? Kanachi, yeah. Internet, basically, what, let me restate it, right? Have you ever noticed how sometimes people get into drama and where it would have been better for them to just ignore the drama, they instead decided to participate in the drama? That they decided to respond to it when they probably should not have, and it has made you ask the question, why? I mean, it probably would have been better for them to stay silent, right? You mean this? Well, there's no such thing as bad advertisement. I mean, there is no such thing as bad advertisement, but at the same time, if you feed into it, the biggest problem... Okay, let's put it like this, right? Let's put it like this. The biggest problem is if you feed into it, it only is adding fuel to the fire. It's not helping your case. If anything, it can do more harm than good sometimes, right? Which is why, right, AI ads are bad advertising. I mean, yeah, AI ads are definitely bad advertising, but that's a whole different thing, right? The whole thing is, right, is that, honestly, if you feed into the drama, you're just adding fuel to the fire, which can hurt you more, make people hate you more, potentially even ruin your ability to scale, potentially ruin your ability to reach out, get sponsorships, get partnerships, you know? It's crazy. Absolutely freaking crazy, right? And so, as a content creator, you do have to have thick skin, because you're going to have people that are going to be mean. You are going to have people that are going to hate on you, take you out of context, use it, hate farm you, you know? Just anything they can to make themselves grow. Or some people will just use it because they want your attention and think if they get your attention by hating on you, they'll get your attention. It's crazy. I think even the Red versus Blue people done a video mentioning something similar. They mentioned don't engage internet trolls and haters. Exactly. Like, seriously, engaging with an internet troll or an internet hater, I don't think there's ever been an example where engaging with it has ever actually led to good outcomes, because most people don't know how to interact with it. Most people fall apart at the seams, you know? It's crazy. Absolutely crazy, you know? Also, hang on, I'm gonna do a real thing real quick in the dumpster dome real quick. Hang on. Ignoring them really is the best advice. Exactly. Ignoring them really is the best advice you can give someone, right? And the majority of the population can't even see the difference, sadly. Yeah, the majority of the population straight up can't, right? They legitimately cannot see the difference, which is honestly disappointing. It is really, really disappointing, but yet A lot of people do. I mean, hell, as we go forward, right? Is there even such thing as good or positive drama? For I find so much drama, I find out turns out negative. For some people, drama is by and large negative, right? Some people will use it. They'll actually check someone out and they notice, like, hey, that person's actually, doing good. That person is actually, not as bad as people sound. Like, technically speaking, drama, there is no such thing as bad PR, but it really depends on how you navigate it. And 9 times out of 10, the best way to navigate it is to just not touch it at all, right? It is genuinely better to just sometimes not touch it at all, right? That's just how it is. Which, furthermore, and also I see that an ad just started playing. Well, frick. Also, yo, Chobatsu, how you doing? Let's see. And da-da-da-da-da. Ah, I see. Okay. So real quick, while we got an ad going on, I have to ask a question real quick, right?
No such thing as bad PR is bullshit.
It's actually not bullshit. There's actually a literal, I believe there's like some sort of, marketing science behind it with why it works, but yeah. But effectively, yeah, grow thick skin, high morals, pick your battles, exactly. For your own sanity, I would not involve, but if the internet wants to throw a fit because of it, exactly, right? Exactly. So, here's the thing, right? I want to ask a question real quick. I asked it in the Dumpster Dome Discord server, but I want to ask it here real quick, right? Raise of hands real quick. How many of you guys are currently interested in or watching at the moment watching the World Cup final for football at the moment? Out of curiosity, how many people? Raise your hands if some of you guys are watching that currently, because I'm curious. Anyone? Raise of hands. No? Prom? No. Well, I guess I could sit here and be like, well, I mean, I guess, there are people that are interested. They're probably not here at the moment, but, hey, they're lost. Anyways, right? Hi there, Ruby. How you doing? I was in ads. It's okay, Otaku King. It's okay. Basically, for those of you that are now out of ads, is there anyone here in chat at the moment that is currently interested in the World Cup for football going on right now, right? I'm gonna see, but they're out of the competition. Fair. Hi, Nimby. Oh, wow. Wow. The YouTube chat took forever to actually connect. Holy shiz. What are we talking like? No, we're talking like soccer, right? For those like that, I'm talking, I should say soccer, right? You're not huge into sports. Fair. Absolutely fair, I just know a lot of people are definitely into that stuff, so I just wanted to, double check, all of that stuff, right? But yeah, like, anyways, though, so let's keep going on, right? Let's keep going on. Let's keep this gear going, because the gears are turning here, So yeah, let's keep doing this, right? So, the next part right here that I wanted to talk about very briefly, if someone copies you, you're their ceiling. Now, Ludwig said this, and I feel like a lot of people might not actually understand. So, allow me to explain a little bit about what he was actually meaning and expand upon it, right? So, I'll say, hey, Rags, how you doing? You're late, my lovely little gem. Where were you, bish? Were you watching football? Were you watching soccer, bro? Anyways, so, I'm sure you've seen it. VTubers get upset over if someone copies part of their design. Content creators, there's some content creators that'll throw a fit if you're like, copying an idea or something, right? But here's the thing. If someone actually decides to copy you, that means that for them, they're basically like, especially if they're a bigger creator, you're their ceiling at that point, right? Like, if someone wanted to, I mean, throwing it is funny. Like, if someone wants to copy, say, like, let's say someone started copying me, like, copying my design, copied, like, the way I do content, whatever, right? Here's the thing. That just means that whoever's copying me sees me as their peak, as their ceiling. But the problem is, part of copying people means that you're limiting yourself to an extent to where until you start coming up with your own voice, your own brand, what's going to end up happening, right, is you would need, right, you would absolutely need to start coming up with original ideas to really scale yourself beyond what you're seeing there. Like, I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people that copy Iron Mouse, copy the whole pink-haired demon girl thing, right? I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that copy Zentreya, that copy Buff Pup, right? But here's the thing. If you just copy someone, again, you may not go as far as you could. You're just seeing that as, like, the furthest you can go. You're not actually considering the fact that you could probably actually go further, right? Sometimes copy is a form of flattery till it's like 90-95% of you. Exactly, right? Like, copying is definitely a form of flattery, which is amazing when that happens. But at the same time, it does show where someone thinks the goalpost is, where the furthest some people think they can go. However, at the same time, I feel like, while it's a good way to start it sometimes, like, until you get your footing and figure out what you really want to do, sometimes the best thing you can do is do a little bit of copying here and there, Don't reinvent the wheel. Only, improve upon the wheel and add your own flavor to it, right? So if someone copies you, don't get upset. If someone has the same eye color, same eye texture, if someone has the same hairstyle, cool. It's flattering, Don't be upset over that. So let's keep on going further, right? At the end of the day, all the tips and tricks, this was one of my favorite parts that Ludwig brought up, right? At the end of the day, all of the tips and tricks you can only take you so far and are useless if you don't create something people can connect with, right? What is the value of a content funnel, a schedule, stream ideas, goals, if you don't connect with it, let alone your own community, right? And that's honestly really important to really, really consider. Does anyone here in chat know why that's important? I'll say, hey, Callie, how you doing? Does anyone know why that's important? No one? No one knows why that's important? Can I repeat the question? I'm asking, why do you think it's important, right? That to know why do you think it's important that the values of a content funnel, schedule, stream ideas, and goals, if you don't connect with it, let alone your own community, why do you think that is so important? Why do you think that it's important to make something people can connect with? Exactly. Kanashi's got it right. All right? It's so that someone has something that they can relate to. Isn't like faking yourself to the point it turns into 9-5. That you don't want to do that, right? Because here's the thing, right? You can have the best managers in the world as a content creator, right? You can be given all of the tips and tricks to be the best content creator possible. But at the end of the day, if you go out there and you make something that you can't connect with or others cannot connect with, None of those tips and tricks will work. None of that's going to make you grow if you can't create something that people connect with, right? It's because so people can know what game you're going to play next, even know what kind of games they're content creators. I mean, playing games definitely helps. Like, if you play retro games, people are going to definitely be into that, right? But part of it's also, you know, it's about the kind of content you want to put out there, the kind of thing you want to do that people can connect with, right? Like, not everyone's going to connect with, you know, what I'm talking about right now. A lot of people might connect because a lot of people want to know how this works, even if they're not content creators or don't plan on it. A lot of people like, the thing is, right, humans as a species, they want to connect. They want to... Humans want to connect. Humans want that psychology. They want that... They want something that makes them feel like they're a part of something, right? If you don't have that, right? What are we chatting about right now? We're still chatting about the whole thing with Streamer University, Manic. So the thing is, if people don't have that connection, why would they want to stick around, right? For me, I like to play more horror games during the October month. For all scary games, I want to play or finish. I mean, okay, hang on. I think there's a misunderstanding there, Quaro. Like, it's not about the content, right? While it can be part of the content, right? It's more about how you connect with others, right? Like, a lot of people watch VTubers because they want the girlfriend experience. They want that soft, cozy feeling of, like, you know, being the partner there, watching the girlfriend fail or discover things for the first time, being hyped, you know, like a sort of, like, you know, parasocial relationship dynamic, right? But then some people like having information. They like educational content. Some people just like getting to have their nostalgia, right? It's how they connect with the streamer, how they connect with each other to have a good time, right? Because if you are not making content that even you connect with, no one's going to connect with you, right? Content creation is something that you're supposed to have fun with, that you should feel your passions with, right? Something you connect with. And I make this such an important point where I say, like, if I'm not having fun, you're not having fun, right? And a lot of that is because if I don't have fun with what I'm doing, how can you connect with me not having fun? How does someone connect with negativity? That's not the right vibe. That's not the right thing. People don't want to stick around for that, you know? It's honestly kind of depressing. And that's where a lot of people, you know, they screw up if they don't create content that people want to connect with. And so, honestly, you know, even with all these tips and tricks that, you know, Streamer University does give, it's, even with everything like we've talked about in this past hour and 15 minutes, honestly, most of it is meaningless if you don't create content that people can connect with, right? And it's been, honestly, I know this is probably weird for a lot of people to hear me just yap about this because they haven't heard me do this in like 3+ years at this point. But honestly, this is something that I'm passionate about. This is something I think is genuinely cool to talk about. Because it allows me to share an aspect with this, right? If I can't connect to shorts, well, there's nothing else behind it. Exactly, right? It's like putting on a pair of pants that's too big for you and you need to put on a belt, but even then, you can't find a belt in the right size, you know? Or it's kind of like, you know, you want pizza, but the pizza you're getting is, you know, it's an olive pizza, you know? It's not great. It's genuinely not great, you know? Exactly, kinda, exactly, right? Not everyone likes, you know, olive pizza. There's a lot of people out there that like olive pizzas, but if you don't like olive pizza, then why would you want to eat it, you know? Why would you? It's not great, you know? It's genuinely not great. So don't force something if you know it's not gonna, you know, if it's not gonna work. I have had to make olive pizza. It's so slimy. Same with mushrooms. Yeah. Now, granted, olives can be kind of awful because, you know, people don't really cook them correct. They kind of do things in a weird way with them where they cook them and that's not great. I personally don't like olives either way, but that's a whole different story, right? That's a whole different story. Must be some cyberpunk plastic olives, something like that. I'll say, hey, Rug, it's been a hot minute, my lovely little raconteur. How you doing? How you doing? I agree with you now on 100% fair. So let me ask a question real quick to everyone here in chat. Does anyone have any questions about anything we have talked about? Hi there, Halo. Wow, Halo's late. Holy shiz. Does anyone have any questions before we move on? No questions from Otaku King. Okay, I see how it is. I don't know what any of you were talking about. Oh, Rug, we were talking about Streamer University. So, like, if you just came in, no worries. To the people that are here, any questions? How long should you take a break before when it comes to Twitch before debuffs apply? So, okay, so for Manic's question, right? How long you should take a break before when it comes to Twitch before debuffs apply? Typically speaking, from what I've noticed with Twitch, if you take a break of like 7 days, if your break lasts longer than 7 days, people tend to follow, like they tend to apply a streamer debuff because Twitch looks at a streamer as someone who is not reliable if they haven't streamed in a week, so you kind of have to rebuild your reputation a bit. That's why some streamers, when they like go to a convention, they take a week off, they might do like a subathon or some sort of event after the fact to overcome the debuff, if that makes sense. It sucks, and that's why you really probably shouldn't throw all of your eggs into the Twitch basket, and why people like to say diversify to YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all of that stuff, because it's better to have a funnel to make sure that your growth isn't, you know, relying entirely on one platform. So there's that, right? So if we want to connect with people, I got to project more like someone I want to interact with. Yeah, effectively, Quaro. That's why, like, when a lot of streamers tell you to review your content, like, watch your VODs over and see what it is that you're, you know, doing, what they're really saying is, like, is the content that you're making something that you yourself would want to watch? If it is something you'd want to watch, congratulations. That means that you're making the right kind of content and that people will want to connect with that, right? But if you don't even connect with your own content, then bro, maybe it's time for you to, you know, reassess it. Have a hard conversation with yourself, right? It's hard, but yeah, you genuinely want to make content that you resonate with. Project out the person that you want to be. Project the kind of image that you want. The kind of stuff you can resonate with, right? That gives a reason why you often see streamers coming online for a day, even on vacation. Yeah. Even if it's an hour, it's the fact that if you stream, even for an hour, you're basically signaling to Twitch that you're still active, right? I genuinely hate that that's how Twitch ends up being, right? Is my radio breaking? I think my radio is breaking. Okay, there we go. Yeah, like, that's the thing, is like, it sucks, but it's kind of like a 9-to-5 job. Think about it like this, right? If you work a regular job, do you think that someone's just gonna sit there and be like, yeah, bro, You just took like a week and a half off. Do you think they're gonna be okay with you just coming back to work and not have any, repercussions, no consequences? No. Twitch is gonna punish you for that, just like anywhere else does, right? Like, why you streaming being in Japan, the trip did cost you $5K. Yeah, it's because they want to make sure that, that Twitch doesn't debuff, right? Now, if you're a Twitch partner, that's a little bit of a different story, but that's a whole different conversation. Anyways, moving forward, is there any more questions? Any more questions at all? Nothing that comes to mind. Manic's just giving hearts. Okay, fair enough. Alright. Well, if there's... Sorry, what was the question? I'm asking if there's any other questions in relation to everything we've been talking about for basically the last hour and 20 minutes. Whoop. Alright. Then if that is the case, if there are no other questions, right? If there are no other questions, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to say that Professor Rix is done being Professor Rix for now, so I'm going to go take a quick potty break. Yeah, that's right, I'm taking a quick trash panda break, right? So don't get any weird ideas about any minute, right? And I will be right back. So, you know what, hey Manic? Or, you know what, hey Manic and Internet. I'm gonna leave you in charge. And also, Rug, you can be, backup support, right? I'm gonna leave you three in charge, right? So make sure no one does any kind of BS, doesn't cause any chaos, right? You know the whole drill, right?
Thank you for coming to my Twitch talk on how to be a great streamer 101.
You're welcome. And thank you for, being a part of it all. Because honestly, it really makes it, I'm glad that, there. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna take a quick potty break. So you guys... make sure no one causes any chaos, alright? You got it. So good luck.